So I did a video on why it's so dumb to call Intro 967 the horse carriage ban bill Ryder's law. Not getting into that again because I did a whole video on it. But I wanted to also talk about some of the things that the bill does or doesn't do, because I think a lot of the people that are going to be voting on it or that have an opinion on it really don't know because they didn't read the bill. One thing that people throw around sometimes is that the bill would replace us or our carriages or our horses or whatever with electric carriages or cars or some version of that, or vehicles. None of that is in this bill. There have been previous bills in the past that failed that had, options like that. That's not what this bill is. This bill just gets rid of us. That's it. Some people think that this gets new jobs for the carriage drivers. Does not. Not only does it not get us jobs in our field of expertise, our career choice, which is equestrian work with horses, it only has a sentence, maybe two sentences, that essentially says the city would have to set up some type of department or agency or committee or whatever that can assist carriage drivers in finding other job opportunities. Doesn't really sound much different than like the current unemployment office. And it does not specify what happens to all the other workers that we have that would be impacted by this. For example, the person we hire to sweep up the manure in the park, the stablemen that have been there like 30 years who care for our horses when we're not there. We have 24/7 stablemen. They're grooming our horses, they're mucking their stalls, they're getting them fed, they're keeping the stable clean and safe and keeping an eye on our horses. They're working so hard. None of them are included in this bill at all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing for them. And they're not the only ones. The bill also has no provision about what happens to the small businesses that these people own. The carriage is kind of like a taxi cab medallion. The carriages have a medallion. There's 68 medallions. These medallions have sold for $500,000 or more, depending where the business is. If it seems like a ban on the business is going to pass, of course the value is going to drop because people are worried. They don't want to buy a business that's going to be put out of business. But generally, these are valuable businesses that people spend many years taking out loans and things, paying off. And at least at last night's community board meeting, they were throwing around figures of, maybe the city would buy them off for $10,000 or $20,000. They've sold for $500,000. $10,000 or $20,000. That's not your retirement. What are you going to do with that? And people who just finished paying off these huge expenses, and finally have their own small business that they own, and you're not offering them anything. None of it's in the bill. Not even $10,000 or $20,000. None of that is in the bill. They're not being offered anything for this business. And even if they were offering their driver anything, the driver who's out here doing everything. Now, every carriage owner is also a driver, but they're not going to work 2 shifts 7 days a week. So you also have drivers that do not own carriages here. And then you have some people that own a horse but not a carriage. You have a whole combination out here. And the other thing is, people think, because New York Class tries to mislead them into this, that this bill has these homes lined up for these horses. Not true. There is a list of, rescues for horses, sanctuaries, they like to say, which is actually our list of where to never send our horses. Because these are places that don't really know horses, places that exploit horses to try to earn a profit by negatively exploiting them, saying, this horse used to be abused, come give us a few $100s to see them and pet them now that we take care of them. It's that kind of place. I would never let my horse go to a place like that. None of us would. There have been times where we thought we were, well vetting a retirement home for our horse, and then it turned out that they couldn't afford caring for the horse and may have sent them somewhere less than ideal after that without telling us. There have been cases where these places we don't want them to end up have offered a lot of money for our horse, and the person that we thought we could trust would sell the horse. That's the only reason New York class can claim they ever supposedly rescued a horse that was never in need of rescue from us, as they like to say sometimes, situations like that came up. So yeah, they have this list. Now, if this list even was a good home for a horse, why are there hundreds of thousands of horses getting sent to slaughter every year all over the country? Why aren't they taking in any of those horses that actually need homes when our horses already have homes here? Why would you take that spot away from a future horse that might need that spot if that spot is available now? Why would you only save it for my horse that's happy and fine here now? That's a problem with that. The other problem with that is it's not in the bill. The bill states that our horses have to be humanely disposed of, which I have that recording of Adita saying in her own words. She knows what the bill says. Or that our horses have to be sold or given. First of all, I don't plan on selling or giving my personal property away. That's my horse. I want to keep him. I purchased him. I want to work with him. Regardless of what goes on in the city, that's my choice. You don't have someone's cat or dog or whatever, and then you say, like, oh, I'm going to find a different home for it. What are we going to do about this person's cats and dogs? What are we going to do about this? These are our horses. Why are you trying to figure out what we're going to do with our horses? So it's always so insulting when you hear council members or politicians or whatever talking about, like, what to do with... We get to choose what to do with them. No horse car driver has ever sent their horse to slaughter or ever would. So it's fine that provision says, we can't send that. No, we don't care. Leave that in there, fine. But the part that says that we have to figure out, somewhere else that we give our horses to, that's not right. And it actually goes further, because a lot of people don't want to take on the expense of a horse. They're very expensive to care for. So if someone wanted to buy my horse, if I wanted to sell my horse, and someone wants to, or adopt it, for free or whatever, they're going to be considering, all right, how much does it cost me to care for this horse? And they're going to think, well, how much money can the horse earn for himself to cover the cost of that care? This bill says that our horses cannot be carriage horses in any other carriage business, which means that I can't decide to move upstate New York. I can't decide to move to, Charleston or wherever there are carriage horses and work my horse that I own now and open up my own business or drive my horse there or, that's literally just saying you're going to take away our horse's ability to be secured in a financial future for themselves by saying they can't work and just have the person, sign a piece of paper that says they're going to care for them the rest of their lives, that they're going to have that kind of money to do that. You don't see the flaws here? So, yeah, that's not happening. But I just wanted to be clear about the things that are and aren't in this horse carriage ban bill and the reality of it, regardless of what you think about carriage horses and what you think about us and all of that. This is a horrible bill. It's not helping horses, not helping people, and it shouldn't be going anywhere.